Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and today we've got a full slate of updates regarding the Atlanta Hawks to cover. This is the 84th episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so I hope you guys have enjoyed all of the content we've been putting out this offseason. But today we have a packed show, so from Eurobasket action featuring some of Atlanta's most exciting international players, there's been a lot going on there, to a closer look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, one of Atlanta's marquee pickups of the offseason. I think he is in store for a offensive breakout, and he's always been a good offensive player, but I think he can truly thrive in the system, and I'm going to break down why very shortly. Also, the College Park Skyhawks recently revealed their 2025-26 schedule that'll be going on at the same time as the Atlanta Hawks season, and that is certainly something to keep up with because there are some notable players playing for Atlanta's G League affiliate this season. And finally, we'll have a game day preview of something that's going on today. Kristaps Porzingis and Vit Krejci are going head-to-head, so you won't want to miss the breakdown of what's to come with that. And without further ado, let's waste no time and go ahead and get started and talk about how France has won again. They have been dominant all Eurobasket, but this one was a little bit unique. They picked up yet another big win in Eurobasket, improving their record to 3-1 after defeating Poland 83-76. So decently close game. For Hawks fans, keeping a close eye on Zachary Rizichet. This one for the Frenchman, unfortunately, was not exactly a performance to remember. He has been amazing in Eurobasket so far, but this was his first game that he really kind of struggled. But here's the thing, he didn't play much. He logged only 15 minutes in finishing scoreless in what was his quietest game of the tournament so far. France's rotation patterns have been pretty weird. They've been definitely unusual. I don't really understand some of their rotations, but nonetheless, they got the win. And that's the most important thing. Clearly, they know what they're doing. Rizichet's role really fluctuates game to game. This is a guy who, obviously he's a starter in Atlanta, but he hasn't started yet for France. And it's been kind of weird because he has been balling out. He's been awesome on both ends of the floor. One thing is certain, though, this French team continues to win, and they have a real shot of winning Eurobasket. The night really belonged to Guerschon Yabusele. He really made a name for himself in last year's Olympics. He played this past season with the Philadelphia 76ers. He's going into his second season with these Sixers, and he's had a great summer. And not last night, but yesterday, he just truly had an incredible game. He had 36 points, setting his personal scoring record in an official game for the French national team. His dominance came in front of more than 9,000 Polish fans, so definitely, adapted to the environment. More importantly, handed Poland their first defeat of the tournament, so it was a very crucial win for France. There was a lot at stake in this game as we, draw closer to the tournament. The 16 team single elimination tournament that is taking place at the end of Eurobasket, which is very soon. That's going to be super fun to cover because that is seriously coming up. So despite missing, one of their top players, Alex Sarr, for the remainder of Eurobasket due to injury, France did find a way to get it done. The key was really controlling the offensive glass, which was a little weird because they had a guy like Rizichet who, he's a decent rebounder for his position, and then Alex Sarr is obviously out. Although Sarr isn't really the best rebounder, being like 7'2". So and that was honestly one of the biggest reasons why I didn't want Atlanta to draft him. But that's besides the point. France out rebounded Poland 22-10 in this game on the offensive glass, creating a massive advantage in second chance points, something that is very crucial in these scrappy games, these hard-fought games, especially down low in the paint. They prevailed 19-5 in second chance points. They also outscored Poland in points off turnovers, 21-13, and in points in the paint, 40-30. So really every area that truly matters in terms of shot making, France had them beat. And so honestly, it was a little bit more of a it wasn't as close of a game as it may have looked on the stat sheet. This Poland hung in there, but this wasn't something that was ever really in doubt for the Frenchmen. The win was especially significant because Group D is wide open, and it's coming to a close. France, Israel, and Poland now all sit at 3-1 heading into the final group stage games. It's very close. Very intense finish. This is, the one game is the difference between not showing up not being selected for the 16-team tournament and going home or taking place in that, having a chance to bring a Eurobasket title to your country. a lot at stake. So France actually did advance to the round of 16, that first round of the tournament. So now France and Latvia, so both Zachary Rizachet and Kristaps Porzingis' teams are going to be playing in that tournament. The final order in the group won't be decided until Thursday when France actually takes on Iceland. So that'll be the very last group stage game for any Atlanta Hawks, because today we've actually got a game, and this is the last game for Veet and KP, and we're going to break that down later in today's episode. But France plays on Thursday, and that'll be their final game. And everything, all the standings will be decided by then. For Rizachet, it is a reminder that his role with the national team isn't always going to be about the stat lines, but he makes an impact on and off the floor. You know, the learning and developing in different situations is going to be crucial for his growth, really in the NBA, but just in general. I mean, this French staff does trust his long-term future. I guess they don't want to overwork him, which might be a smart approach. Atlanta fans should be happy with what they've seen from Zachary Rizachet so far, despite having his first off game of the tournament just yesterday. So his potential remains as high as ever, and even if this particular outing wasn't necessarily his best. Now let's move things back to the NBA and talk about one of the Hawks' biggest offseason moves. I mean, we all know it. This was something that was teased for a while from really insiders, and everyone heard some different stuff, but it all looked like this was going to happen, and they ended up signing Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and it came as no surprise because the Hawks were always linked to him. As we all know, the Hawks were very active this summer. I mean, this was one of their more active summers, really ever. The one that grabbed headlines immediately into the offseason was the blockbuster trade for Kristaps Porzingis. And then obviously the signing of sharpshooter Luke Kennard to that one-year deal, that was another headline grabber. But I think the most underrated move, and one that did get a lot of national media traction, is one that will pay them more massive dividends, was the sign and trade for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So despite not being a household name, Alexander-Walker was seriously one of the most sought-after role players in free agency. I mean, this is a guy who was beloved in Minnesota. Fans were really upset to see him go because he was really kind of like a Swiss Army knife for them. Real, intense playoff performer, a guy that seriously is just a winner in the NBA. But then, and while fans wanted to keep him, and I'm sure the organization did as well, Minnesota committed to Julius Randle and Naz Reid on long-term extensions, and there was so much money going there, and in order to avoid the second apron, the Timberwolves simply could not afford to keep Alexander Walker, which their fans were super upset about. But Hawks fans were certainly happy about it because that really right there, as soon as they paid Reid and Randle, it opened the door for Atlanta, and general manager Anzi Saleh wasted no time and seized that opportunity. I mean, why is this important? Because Nickeil Alexander-Walker fits exactly what Quinn Snyder is building. Last year, the Hawks made huge strides defensively, thanks in large part to the emergence of Dyson Daniels as a premier perimeter stopper. I mean, one of the best in the league, probably the best in the league. Certainly should have been the Defensive Player of the Year last year on top of Most Improved Player, but obviously they weren't going to give him both awards due to Atlanta's team success. But nonetheless, he deserved that over Evan Mobley. I will say that 10 times out of 10. I mean, Daniel should no longer have to carry the burden of being the lone premier perimeter defender on the Atlanta Hawks, because Alexander Walker brings that length, quickness, and defensive intensity, allowing Daniels more freedom on offense, and honestly allowing him more freedom on offense. They're both going to complement each other in great ways, and I kind of broke this down in another episode, just talking about how they can potentially unlock each other's games on both defense and offense. But the real intrigue is on the offensive side, because Alexander Walker has always been a pretty solid scorer, not always the most efficient. He certainly did have a very efficient season last year from beyond the arc, but field goal percentage wasn't exactly where we would want it to be. Under Quinn Snyder's system, however, he could take things to another level, and I'm certain that he will. Last season in Minnesota, he averaged 9.4 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 2.7 assists per game, while shooting over 38% from three. He even finished sixth in Sixth Man of the Year voting. So, I mean, he got some real recognition. That Sixth Man of the Year, that's an award that's important. I mean, it ended up going to Peyton Pritchard. Hawks fans were watching that award closely last year just because a lot thought it could go to DeAndre Hunter, who was on the Hawks at the time. And he was really, I think, probably the leading candidate for it until he got traded to Cleveland. The role kind of was a little more different. And then Obviously, Pritchard really ended up just completely standing out in that competition. So, but the kind of production that Alexander Walker put up last season, it came in just 25 minutes per night. And in Atlanta, I seriously expect his minutes to increase. I mean, he'll see probably similar to 25 minutes per night, but I could see it going up to 27, 28. He's going to be that real six man off the bench. I think Atlanta's confident in giving him more opportunities to showcase his shooting, driving, and playmaking skills. I mean, Atlanta's going to mostly be operating without a lead point guard in that second unit. Kobe Buffkin will play here and there, and then we'll get spot minutes with Luke Kennard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker as that backup point guard. So it'll kind of fluctuate, but they want to see what he can bring to the table offensively. He's going to have a lot more freedom, especially due to what he's opening up on the defensive end. So, I mean, as we know, Quinn Snyder's offense thrives on spacing, ball movement, and versatility. It's all areas where Alexander Walker has excelled for all of his career and can continue to excel at in Atlanta. So this is something that's it's a dream fit. If he can put all of it together, this can be a real breakout year for him offensively. I mean, if you look at his age, he's currently probably in his prime seasons, and with the Hawks' balanced roster, defensive depth, elite shooting, and multiple shot creators, Alexander Walker could be the X factor that separates Atlanta from pretenders in the Eastern Conference and propels them into contention. So don't be surprised if we're talking about him as one of the league's most improved players by the season's end. I'm not saying he's going to be a most improved player candidate, but this is someone who's going to have an underrated season. He's been underrated his whole career, and he's going to continue to be underrated in Atlanta because the national media, if there's anything they love to do, it's to underrate players for the Atlanta Hawks. So moving down to the G League, we've gone to Eurobasket, to the NBA, to now to the G League. The College Park Skyhawks actually announced their full 2025-26 schedule yesterday. It came pretty late, honestly. I'm surprised it hasn't been announced yet, but nonetheless, we got it all yesterday. And there's plenty for Hawks fans to look forward to. The Skyhawks are going to be fun. I'm going to talk about that in a second with their roster. But they're going to open the season with a 2-game road trip against Raptors 905 on November 7th and 9th before returning home for a 4-game homestand at the Gateway Center over by the airport. That stretch begins with opening night on November 14th against the Capital City Go-Go. Throughout the seasons, the Skyhawks are going to host a variety of theme games, including Education Day on December 3rd, the annual Holiday Game on December 14th, and Fan Appreciation Night on March 25th. These events highlight the organization's continued commitment to community engagement and really getting involved in Atlanta, while also providing fun experiences for fans just all around. From a basketball standpoint, though, like I said it just a second ago, the Skyhawks are going to be a must-watch team this season, and they're probably going to be one of the better teams in the G League. They could win a G League title, bring another championship to Atlanta after the Hawks get it done as well. All three of Atlanta's two-way players, Keaton Wallace, the guy who played actually pretty significant minutes with the Hawks last season, he's going to be back on that two-way. Honestly, I think he's better than a two-way player. I don't think I think he deserves an actual spot on an NBA roster, but nonetheless, I'm happy that he agreed to that two-way deal with the Hawks because it's going to be super fun watching him in College Park once again and in the spot minutes that he ends up playing with the Hawks if there's any injuries. Also, Jacob Toppin, who, played a little bit with the ball club last year at the very end, at the tail end of last year, they signed him to that two-way for the rest of the season, and then they signed him to a two-way this offseason, going forward for the next 2 seasons. So he was a real standout in Summer League. He really showcased his skills and showed a lot that we didn't know he really had in his bag. And then also Eli Njai, Atlanta's undrafted free agent this year, with a lot of potential. He played at Real Madrid. He's an elite defender, a very versatile player. I'm excited about his future. But these 3 guys are going to make the College Park Skyhawks must watch. And they're all expected to see significant playing time with the team. So I mean, it means Hawks fans are going to get the chance to watch the development of future contributors up close because all 3 of these guys have very bright futures. So the home slate is strong for the Skyhawks with 6 games in each of December, January, and February, including extended homestands against tough opponents like the Maine Celtics, Delaware Bluecoats, and Cleveland Charge. The season is also going to feature the annual NBA G League Winter Showcase in Atlanta, where teams can evaluate talent and make roster moves midseason. A very good opportunity for players to showcase what they have. The senior vice president of the Skyhawks released a statement and emphasized the sense of momentum surrounding the Skyhawks. There's a lot going on very well, for that organization, and there are a lot for going well for the Hawks, and then also for their G League pipeline, the Skyhawks, both on and off the court. I mean, they've been making strides. Following a strong campaign last last year that the Skyhawks obviously showed. With the roster talent that they have, College Park should once again be competitive while providing crucial development opportunities for the Hawks pipeline. College Park has proven to be a very good developmental program in just the years that it has been around, and so I'm super excited to see how they continue to develop these players because you've got several players that have just spent time in College Park and then developed into a solid rotation player, and I think that this can happen with all three of the guys that are currently on two-way deals with the Hawks right now. So finally, let's wrap up with today's highly anticipated Eurobasket matchup between the Czech Republic and Latvia. Vít Krejci versus Kristaps Porzingis. So this is happening at 11 a.m. Eastern, shortly after the release of this video. So once y'all are done with this, be sure to go tune into that game. Once it gets started, I'll have the links on my X account, so be sure to tune into that. But this is the final stage, the final group stage game for both teams. And while the stakes are low in terms of advancement, meaning that Latvia has already clinched their spot in the 16-team tournament, and the Czech Republic sits at 0-4 and don't really have a chance to get back in. It is still a fascinating matchup for Hawks fans because Vít Krejci and Kristaps Porzingis, the brand new teammates, are going to be facing off against each other. It's a poetic way to end group play. I mean, what better way, especially for Hawks fans, with Atlanta's young wing going up against their newly acquired all-star center. It's going to be super fun to watch. Latvia is going to enter as heavy favorites. This is a much better team, and realistically, if Latvia doesn't, blow away in this game, and really, I don't even know how much KP is going to play just because of the fact that they've already clinched the spot. They might choose to rest the injury-prone big before, tournament play begins. But on paper, this should not be a close contest whatsoever. The Czech Republic has no NBA talent, and Serbia has, in Latvia, sorry, my brain is on Serbia. We talked about Serbia last episode. But Latvia has Kristaps Porzingis and Davis Bertans, guys that, one NBA All-Star and one guy who was a quality NBA role player for several seasons. The intrigue lies in watching how Krejci approaches the game because, going up against Porzingis, a player who now represents the centerpiece of Atlanta's front court of the future, it might bring out an extra level of competitiveness. He might want to prove himself to this guy who's now going to be one of the leaders of his team. Fans should keep an eye on how the two interact pregame and postgame and, obviously during play. Any rare possessions, because I don't expect to see this much, but when Krejci is matched up defensively against Kristaps Porzingis, that's certainly going to be worth noting. For Porzingis, though, this is another chance to solidify his rhythm heading into the knockout stages. This is a guy who, he struggled with his three-point shot for most of Eurobasket. He really got it back last game, and he was 5 of 12 from beyond the arc in that game. So he really got it back, and let's see if he can continue that in this crucial game. For Krejci, it's about pride, growth, and proving he can hold his own against elite competition because this Latvia team is very elite. Either way, it's going to be a must-watch game for Hawks supporters, so be sure to go tune into that, and we're going to break down what happened in the game all in next episode. So not for the final score, but for the storylines within the matchup. So tip-off is 11 a.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. So that is going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. We covered France's very important win and Riche's quiet night, but he's had a great Eurobasket, and this is someone who now Hawks fans have absolutely nothing to worry about. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's potential offensive breakout in Atlanta that I really expect to happen, and then the College Park Skyhawks' upcoming season schedule, and of course the intriguing game day clash between Vít Krejci and Kristaps Porzingis, two very crucial Atlanta Hawks. So as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on Hawks Latest. We're going to be pumping out videos every day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But once again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Zach Langley, a.k.a. Langley ATL. This has been Hawks Latest, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.